Wow, I hit the size limit again. Ain't that some shit? I'm still getting my thoughts out, so we're gonna have a 0.1 added onto this. I hate that this thing has a size limit. Why should a phone have its one? There's space. Keep recording. Fuck size limit. So still July 11th, 2022, 6:40 p.m. That's right. I did start this at 5:40, didn't I? Oh man. So yeah, I'm talking about Priscilla and her moving her stuff. Peeking in her car, it does look like she's moving stuff. I feel like I mentioned this already in this vlog, or at least in the last video that this is a continuation of. So yeah, if she's moving her stuff out, she's actually moving out willingly. That's gonna help things because, like I said, I've been when I discuss stuff with Lon, pretty much like the only real mechanism he has for evicting her is evicting me, and that's not trying to do that. And then the whole thing, if he starts the whole mechanism of, well, you're an unauthorized guest, you can't be there unless you fill out an application and get on the lease. And then, of course, I'm sure that would be her reaction. It's like, okay, let me fill out an application, get on the lease. No, I don't want that. I want you gone. So so that's and then there's the complication of she does that in 10 days. Like I have paid her. She's paid me rent through the end of the month, so she's still entitled to be there for at the bare minimum 20 days. Now, I've read a couple online resources, and maybe I need to read some more online resources, but they pretty much suggested that in a situation like that, she's not renting from Lon, she's renting from me. She's paying her rent to me, so if I don't want her to stay there, then I need to evict her. But I went down to the justice courts today, and they said that I couldn't do anything about it because I'm a tenant, that the landlord has to do that. But she doesn't pay the rent to the landlord. The landlords do that. And I said, well, she doesn't pay the rent to the landlord. She pays the rent to me. I mean, technically what is going on here would be called subleasing, and it would seem to me that I could evict a subleasee as the leasee evict the subleasee. But she goes, well, she doesn't have a lease with you. Which she doesn't. Like, we're just rolling on a verbal contract. So, and that's always a problem. Verbal contracts suck, but of course I never wanted anything written with her because I've never wanted her there. I've always wanted them since the get-go. I wanted her gone. Like, now granted, I've been through some tough times this last year and 2 months or so since I lost my housing assistance. My money's been tight, so I've definitely wanted her help with the apartment, but I mean, prior to that, I had been very vocal on a regular basis. Even when we still had a good relationship, I've been very vocal about the fact that I wanted her to get her own place. Hey, when are you getting your own place? When are you getting your own place? Said you're getting your own apartment. When are you going to get your own apartment? I thought you said you were going to get your own apartment. When is that going to happen? Can you give me a date? Like, when are you going to be out of here? I need to get your stuff out of Lily's room. I need to get Lily back in her room. Oh, yeah, okay. And it's become a whole situation of, like the stop or I'll say stop again. The old adage of parents that don't or can't discipline their children. It doesn't really matter what they tell them to do. The kids don't care because they know there's no enforcement. And of course, it's been said that's why crime is running rampant these days, because it's all like, slap people on the wrists and then turn them out. It's like, stop or I'll say stop again. It's not a big deterrent. So that's kind of what you need to move out, or I'm going to tell you need to move out again. Yeah, she's not moving out. So stuff I was reading was pretty much leaning like I would need to evict her, which of course now she's paid rent, so I can't evict her for not paying rent, but I could certainly, and Lon gave me a copy of what his 30-day notices are. Before you can do that, I think you have to give somebody 30 days notice, and then which of course now I wish I'd have done at the beginning of the month. So now it's a 20-day notice, so I would need to, but I mean, I could give it to her tomorrow, but again, that would require that at the end of the 30 days that I file an eviction motion thing. But they told me at the justice court that I couldn't do it. They couldn't do an eviction notice. I couldn't evict her because I'm not the landlord, that I have to do it with the landlord. So, yeah, I'm not sure if that information from the clerk is right, which of course then the clerk's like, well, I can't give you legal advice. Well, technically you just did. If I file a forcible detainer action and and pay the fee and stuff, like, your job is to collect that fee and file the action. It's the judge's decision as to whether or not I have standing to evict her. But I digress. And I didn't tell her that. I was just like, oh, okay. And then she gave me a paper with a couple resources, which of course were phone numbers that I called. They just went to machines and I left numbers. And actually one of them, I couldn't even leave a number. They said, if you're calling between the 10th and the 15th, we are changing our system. So call back after the 15th. We're not taking any more clients, blah, blah, blah. And that's kind of a legal assistance thing. The other one is like landlord-tenant stuff. I do think they actually tried to call me back and I missed the call. And then I called the number that called me and left a message. Didn't get a call back. Deal with that tomorrow. But yeah, I got a feeling those two numbers are going to be a dead end. I certainly didn't call and get a hold of anybody, which of course motivated me to call my attorney. Of course, she's a family law attorney, so she really doesn't know shit about rental and landlord-tenant laws and stuff like that. That's not her field of expertise. And then thinking about that got me thinking of an ex-girlfriend who has been disbarred, I think, as an attorney, has been disbarred in 4 states. She's there's a lot of articles about her. She's sort of a nutcase, sort of a religious zealot, and she's got a Juris Doctor. Nobody can take that away from her. But yeah, I don't think she'll ever be able to practice law anywhere ever again. But she's got experience and has mostly done landlord-tenant stuff, trying to, fight for the underdog and correct the legal system and so on and so forth. And I could tell all sorts of stories about her. Her and I were an item for the better part of 2 years. Now it got to the point that the relationship was kind of toxic, and I just had to get away from her, and I felt like being with her was holding me down and stopping me from progressing with my life. But I was thinking, God, if there's one person that would have the answers right now, it would be Connie Zakryzak. And I couldn't remember how the hell to spell her name, because it is a very awkward last name. So I ended up, since I was at the Justice Corps, I walked across the street to the Superior Court Records Department, the Clerk of Court Records Department for Maricopa County Superior Court. And it's like, well, there's one place I know where I can find documents that have her name in it, because at one point she kind of got involved in my divorce, which just went on forever and ever and ever. I mean, it even went on after my ex-wife was dead. That's how bad my divorce case was. Oh, and I saw that I also called my attorney, Karen, to see if maybe she could point me in the right, at least suggest somebody to talk to, but maybe help me point me in the right direction. And I haven't touched base with her in a while. I really feel I need to touch base with her. But yeah, when I looked, I know she finally put in a notice to withdraw as my attorney of record in that case last November, which is funny because I would imagine that the case would have come to a close just as a matter of course when Allison turned 18, which was, in November. Allison was already well into being 19, but anyway, that was, so it was interesting to see, and I'm sure she's mailed me a copy of it. I can't imagine her not mailing me a copy of it, but of course I've never seen that, and I'm sure that has a lot to do with the way Priscilla answers my mail and just feels like my air isn't blowing very cold, but it probably has to do with it being 112 out and I'm not driving, so I should shut my car off. I hope my AC didn't just go out again. That would suck. It is hot. I need to wrap this up. Anyway, so yeah, I couldn't remember how to spell her name, so Connie. I did leave a message with Karen, but I haven't heard back from her. Which is, I didn't expect to immediately hear back from her. She's a busy woman. And might think this is ridiculous.
Someone would try and weasel their way out of a ticket when they're driving in the HOV lane, and of course they are pregnant. Yeah, because the world has changed. Roe v. Wade. This is a Texas woman, and says, "Hey, listen, I got pulled over by the police. I got to tell you, I'm in the HOV lane, but I got a what do you call it? A biscuit in the, what is it again? A bun in the basket. A biscuit in the what is it?
A bun in the oven.
A bun in the oven.
A biscuit in the basket.
What was I thinking? Biscuit. What is biscuit?
I have no idea. Okay. You're making stuff up again.
All right. I'm awful on those things. What are they called again?
just Gatoisms is what I call them now at this point.
I think you're right.
HOV lanes are supposed to be for cars with 2 or more people.
Yeah, I can see the signs. It says HOV, parentheses, 2.
When Brandy Batone was driving down Central Expressway, she came across a sheriff's checkpoint targeting drivers breaking the rules.
Oh, man. So, what does she do? I'm in the HOV lane. There's nobody in there with me except the bun in the oven.
He starts peeking around. He's like,
Did I get that right?
The bun in the oven. So far,
he
so
starts
good.
peeking around. He's like, is it just you? And I said, no, there's 2 of us. And
Wait, who's peeking around? Is the baby
The
peeking
police,
around?
the police.
Okay.
he starts peeking around. He's like, is it just you?
Baby
And I
popped
said,
out.
no,
What's
there's
going
2 of
on?
us.
Baby was like,
Some stuff going on. I need to know about. I gotta go back in.
You?
Yikes.
And I said, no, there's 2 of us. And he's like, well, where's the other person? And I went, right here.
Batone is 34 weeks pregnant, but the officer told her that doesn't count.
What do you mean it doesn't count? If you're in Texas, like, doesn't that, you know...
Remember,
Roe
a
v.
lot of
Wade?
times in life, when it comes to stuff like this, is they put in a law, but not all the laws are updated.
All right.
So the state may go, that's a child, but the traffic patrol and the laws on the books say, not quite.
It's worth noting if that woman was to be murdered and then of course killed the fetus, it would be considered a double murder, double homicide. So,
$275 ticket.
Oh, $275.
That's smart.
Well, if you split that ticket with the kid, it's not that expensive.
Different judges might treat this differently. This is uncharted territory we're in now.
I said that. Why did they steal my lines?
Legal experts say it's an interesting discussion, especially in light of the recent Supreme Court ruling on abortion rights.
Yeah, listen, I mean, if everything has changed, doesn't she have an argument, Chad?
Well, again, it goes back to what we talked about. If you fly from, let's say you drive from here to Los Angeles, you're going to go get an abortion. And on the way there, you get hit by a drunk driver. They could charge you with 2 deaths, which is weird.
Right.
Because you
What
were
I
on your
just
way
mentioned.
to abort somebody. So these are all the things where it's not quite caught up yet, and it's going to take a while for the laws to catch up to what was suddenly gone.
Download the KTAR app to hear more.
that's interesting and funny. Weird. Sorry, I need to wrap this up. It's time for me to get in and clock in. Anyway, found Kindness of Krasic's name and did some Googling of her, and that was interesting. So thanks for watching.